The problem with these class videos that I do is I end up spending far too much time explaining the little details of every decision I've made. But that's the nature of the beast. EverQuest classes are pretty deep, and you can play them different ways, and there's a lot of little tricks to learn. This is my monk class video. In this case, my monk is level 125, but it's very easy to scale or downgrade these 125 videos to a level 100 heroic monk, for example, a level 115 monk. There just haven't been changes so significant that you can't pretty much pick up the thread at whatever level you need. So this is my basic setup. My engage key. I go ahead with my standard X target, which usually will be the group assists target. I stand, because if I've feigned, this will get me right back up, tack on, and then put my mercenary stance on reactive. It's a very standard hotkey. That's my basic attack key. If I need to stop, I hit Q. This melee attack is just a visual to make sure that I'm actually attacking. You're also going to have the visual. Are you, smacking mobs or not? It's pretty simple. So this is my sort of attack / defensive line. Grappling strike if the mob is a little out of range and I want to pull it closer. Just a little mob control. Standard, the Undying Bravery gives you, I think it's 8 free hits. It might be 6. I'd have to look that up. Protection, 8 hits, yeah, 100% damage. You get that in the Night of Shadows expansion. Spirit Drinker's Coating. This is really an amazing little ability. It's well worth getting if you're melee, because a monk, a rogue, we do so much damage, and when you get 4% back as heals, it makes a huge difference. You can pretty much between Earth Force and Spirit Drinker's Coating, swapping back and forth, you can tank as you need to, depending on the mob. It's always depending on the class, the mob, what you've got. Shaded Step, another defensive ability I've got here. Step into Shadow increases your chance to dodge. Defy Death. As you can see, these are all defensive abilities that increase the amount of punishment you can absorb. These are when you're tanking. Purify Body if you need to. It's a great ability. Armor Experience. Silent Strikes. And then, of course, Feign Death is, I hit the equal sign, I feign death. It's my standard. All my setups are based around the same hotkey is doing certain things. If I hit 0, I'm going to go invis. This next bar here is a little this and that. Swift Tail's Chant is if I need to gain endurance, especially it can, it's really nice. Helps everybody restore endurance, and again, if you're melee, you can pretty much go from 40 to 60% to full. Another endurance. Return more endurance. I don't use these too much. Fists of Wu. The argument is that Fists of Wu is essentially deprecated because with Jan's Veil and various other class ADPS and just monks, you don't need... everybody's at 100% double attack. On the other hand, if you're a group monk, you group with friends, maybe you have weaker tanks, people who haven't gone through all the progression, maybe the pets need double attack. So it doesn't really, it's a couple hundred endurance, it's nothing. And you can put it wherever you want, and it's, there you are, Fists of Wu. Tonpo stance. Now the reason I have that there is because it does not stack with focus, destructive force, or destructive force. And so you can use one or the other. They do not stack. But this is above, it tells me, okay, this is down, let's go up to Tonpo's stance. So that's essentially lining up with my sort of a burn line here. Monks are a class that, unlike, say, a rogue, they don't have disciplines constantly running. They're more like warriors. Or not even warriors. More like a Shadow Knight. I think that's a better analogy. The Shadow Knight's discs, you use them strategically because they take a long time to refresh, and that's the same with the monk. There are some fairly quick refreshing discs, but overall, you're not going to have a disc burning 100% of the time, most likely. So this is that bar, and it works in conjunction with my combat abilities bar. Speed focus, discipline, and heal of Zogli are your primary burn disciplines. I usually initiate combat with heal. I find that gives me slightly more damage than speed focus, especially if I've got like bard support, ranger support from auspice, etc. And then as heal and speed fade out, because they're only up 48 seconds each, you've got Terror Palm and Iron Fist, and then Eye of the Storm. Now, Eye of the Storm shares a timer with, let's look at here, Story Reflexes. But Story Reflexes stays up for an hour plus, hour and 12 minutes, whatever it is, and it only takes 5 minutes to refresh. So most of the time, Eye of the Storm is available, and it's a secondary or tertiary discipline. Once you burn through these, you can keep Eye of the Storm up, and it refreshes fairly quickly. I think it's 7.5 minutes. It's 5 minutes when you use Storied Reflexes. Earth Force Discipline, it's a little extra DPS, but what it really is your a tanking discipline. If you're taking damage, this will help you a lot. And then Counterbalance Discipline, it's another discipline you can use to lower the damage you're taking. So usually I'll work with, and I'll give you a chart to explain my process to do a burn, but you've got heal up, and then these are other abilities and discs that you'll want to use, including your cloak, which has Demon Crusher. That does a lot of damage. That's a really nice ability. So you want to pop those pretty much often as they're up. Rage of Rolfron, this is very nice with melee. Intensity of the Resolute, it only takes 4 hours to refresh. You should probably use it at least once an evening. And then Imitate Death is another get out of jail card. It's my Forget Me Feign button. So we've gone over these 3 primaries. If I'm just tanking and I'm not pulling or doing anything special, I might hit Alt-H and just put those out of the picture for now. But if I'm doing everything, we've got, this is sort of a pulling key, Echo of Diversion. If I hit Y, it's going to mez the mobs for 12 seconds. You can use Distant Strike to pull a mob out. Phantom Whisper reduces their ability to call for help. So it's sort of a rest key. Magnaforce is great. Pushes the target backwards, deals a point of damage, and almost all the time it's going to cause them to forget their attackers. So if you've got 2 mobs, you can just pop one off and he's going to forget. Moving Force moves a mob towards you. Dragon Force kicks a mob back. No forgetting or mezzing. But it's good for splitting. As you do this, you can, like you've got 3 mobs, you can kind of space them out. And then if you're with, in a raid or something, then of course you've got Blood Drinker's Conduct. The 0 key, that's my standard invisibility key. I do that with just about everything. Everybody, if I hit 0, any class will have some form of invisibility. In this case, it's a monk, Cloudy Potion, or if I've just hit Imitate Death, I have a limited time invisibility. Now, generally you're going to want to auto-skill Flying Kick and Tiger Kick, but you do have some special abilities. For instance, Snare is tied to your kick ability. And if you want to be snaring a mob, it procs often, it helps. If you're, say, camping the Rage of Rolfrun in the Plane of War, the Dejected Kobold will flee and bring friends, and so sometimes you want to be able to control the ability of the mob to get away. If you hit this, it auto skills kick on, and so now you will start proccing a snare, short-term snare, and it works very nice. It procs a lot. If you're super low on endurance, nobody wants to do this because you like to keep your DPS as high as possible, but you can auto skill Eagle Strike on, and it will start regenerating endurance for you if you have the AA, and I assume everybody has the AA. This stun is tied to our round kick skill. If you've got a weaker tank or you're tanking, there is an argument that you might want to try stunning the mob because the DPS might mean less than the ability to stun. But unlike the snare proc or even the proc from Tiger Kick, it procs very rarely, like once, twice a minute, and I have not found it to be particularly helpful, this stun. But in the right circumstance, like I said, if you've got a group that the tank is weaker tank, maybe you want to help them with occasional stuns. You also stun through your intimidation if you have the AA for that, and I'm assuming everybody has that. So you can go to stun, and it'll quicken your reflex. Now use auto round kick instead of flying kick. You can use snare, but at the end you go back to your main bread and butter skills, flying kick and tiger kick. These are the actual abilities, so that I think I could take them off and they'd still work. Destructive Force, and Devastating Assault. These are both AE abilities. Sometimes I'll swap this in for Focus Destructive Force instead if we're not mezzing and it's just extra damage. Destructive Force. So yeah, I don't need that one there. So that's what this button does, this hotbar does. Then we've got Tribute on, and the tribute I use is Eye of the Hunter, Fury of Combat, Second Chance. There are definitely some other tributes if you want to bump up a few stats or something, but I find that's the mix for me. I don't have a lot of tribute on this character at the moment. Tribute on, tribute off. Okay. Master's Aura, Storied Reflexes, Spider's Bite, and the usual. This is just for, when I'm starting up in the day, I will probably go through and make sure everything's proccing and on. This is just another utility. Gate, Throne of Heroes, Active Merce, Passive Merc, Stop Disc, Hide Corpse, Group Mark, Invite. I run for the monk, the trio I run is Monk, Ranger, Bard, with the Ranger on auto fire, the Bard on Q melody, and the Monk playing active. I like the Ranger snare, etc. It's a nice mix, and then you can, depending on, since you're tanking as the Monk in this situation, you figure out how many mercenary healers you need up. And group roll, just to set the groups automatically, so I don't have to spend a lot of time messing with that. I'm not in a group right now because I've suspended my Merc. Standard block and unblock heals if you're working with a mercenary healer. And then this final bar is an important bar in a sense because this is my mash spam key. And Drunken Monkey style, Zanfi, Fate Stealer Synergy, Unkafang, Flurry of Fists, which is your synergy, Curse of 17 Facets, Vigorous Shuriken, Intimidate. Again, we have the AA for that, so it's really a nice thing. It does not cause the mobs to flee. It will stun the mob for up to 10 seconds if it triggers. Two Finger Wasp, and then Aura Bane. And then this key is not part of my spam key. If I hit F, I mend myself, which usually I do whenever I get down to 50%. So that's my basic setup. Next, I'll show you kind of my burn strategy. It's not the burn strategy you might want to use on a raid. Go to EQ Resources, go to the EverQuest forums, or the Monk Discord channel. Those guys are great in giving you everything to do in a raid situation. This is more of a casual, I'm playing, what's up here. I start heals my best, then speed, temporal, Iron Fist. I always have one of these running if I'm trying to maximize DPS, and I'm always trying to maximize DPS. And then these, I pop them pretty much whenever they're up as I'm playing in a group, because I'm not saving to take down, a boss mob or something. But if I do need to take a boss mob, I tend to be more frugal when I use heal or speed. Let's see. So I will explain my approach to burning in a group, but do know that it's not intended. It's a casual approach where you may or may not have ADPS.